I'm ready for the next call if you are.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Okay, so this is Brenda in Minnesota. Brenda, how's it going?
Good evening. How are you doing?
Doing great. How's it going?
It's going just fine here. It's a balmy 60 degrees here in Minnesota.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to Minnesota, but I'd love to go there one day.
It's the glorious People's Republic of Minnesota.
Oops. I should put my phone in airplane mode.
Oh, that's okay.
So I wanted to ask Bionic, first of all, I subscribe to your channel. And secondly,
thank you.
Yes, and also, I just wanted to ask you, I'm a trans woman, and I just wanted to get your input or just your experiences as a lesbian woman, being an out atheist on YouTube. It's got to be pretty bad. I mean, it's bad enough for me. I would be terrified of starting my own, doing my own content and stuff like that. And so what is it like for you? And how do you deal with it?
Great question.
It's actually not bad at all. I mean, okay, granted, much like I was saying before, where I didn't grow up in a religion, I was also raised by extraordinarily left-wing hippies in Vermont, one of the first states to have civil unions, if not gay marriage. And then I've lived in Seattle and Southern California. So when it comes to in-person discrimination, I really haven't felt any. And on YouTube or online, well, lesbianism seems to be pretty cool. Most people think it's hot. So, I mean, I really have not had much of a problem beyond the occasional person saying, lesbian, like that. I mean, and it usually comes off tongue in cheek too. Like when I see arguments against lesbianism, it's really rarely directed at me personally. It's usually looking at other people being bigots generally and calling people names or saying God hates you or whatever. And so I quite eagerly go after those people to debunk their homophobia. But honestly, for me, my own experience, it hasn't been that bad. It really hasn't.
I'll tell you this, though, when we went to Faithless Forum, I don't know if you remember, but we had that panel about female content creators online and their kind of experiences. And Rachel Oates was on that panel, Shannon Q, and a bunch of other people. And that was really interesting to see just the kind of messages these people got, just the kind of things they face online. And I think it's definitely going to be a different experience for everybody. I certainly, I think I've gotten a bit of flirting here and there maybe, but I think in general, from the female content creators I've talked to, it's much worse as far as the sexually explicit comments that a lot of them receive and stuff, and sexual violence in some cases.
Okay, it's funny. I mean, I have never received a death threat, and I mean, maybe this is tempting fate, but I've also never received a dick pic.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah,
I think you're an outlier.
In a weird way, I'm like, what am I, ugly over here? What's wrong? But I mean, occasionally I will get the sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge from people, or I'll get people telling me in a more complimentary way, hey, you're hot, which I think is weird. What's wrong with your taste, people? But still, when I saw that panel, I was like, again, I know it's stupid. I know it's weird, but I was feeling left out in a weird way. It's like, am I not worth harassing? Is that it? I don't know.
Oh,
it's strange.
I don't know. You were going to say something, Brenda.
Well, in my experience, there seems to be a special targeting for trans persons, male to female, as well as probably also female to males. We're pretty much, the GOP, the conservatives have sort of passed by the LGBT or the lesbians and gays and pretty much focused their hate speech and rhetoric against trans people. Although I wouldn't hold my breath because I'm sure they'll get back to you later at some point. And I was just curious about your experiences in that because I do debate people online and on YouTube debate channels, and I do get a considerable amount of hateful comments when I'm in a live feed or anything like that. And I was just wondering what your experience was. That was basically it, Bionic. And by the way, check out Blender 2.8. It's looking really good.
Well, I got to say I've been trained in 3ds Max, and I have that big, huge project I'm working on in 3ds Max. I cannot afford to change horses in midstream, but I have heard a lot of good things about Blender. So yeah, maybe in a few years after I'm done with this big project of mine, I'll look into it. But thank you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's whatever.
But also, I mean, that's a very good point. Like the whole transphobia thing does seem to be big in the scene lately. I mean, there's been a big dust up with Rationality Rules recently. And I did watch TMM, the Messianic Manics breakdown of, what was it, Sargon and some other guy having an argument.
Destiny.
And it seemed like Sargon's whole point, like it could all just boil down to who can I try to fuck without triggering my homophobia? That seemed to be his whole thing.
Yeah, well, Sargon is a typical. He's basically changed, scary, and the world is changing, and I'm afraid, and I can't handle it. That is basically the entire conservative movement in a nutshell. Is there the world is changing, and I can't handle it, and I'm afraid, and I need people to tell me that I'm going to be okay. I need my blankie, and I need my safe space, and I don't want to be triggered.
Well,
it does seem like conservatives desperately need someone to hate, because for a good long time, it was Black people or people of other colors. Then they move on to homosexuals. And once that became socially acceptable, now it's trans people. And I've actually wondered, like, once trans acceptance is a thing, who's next? Who's next in their crosshairs?
It'll be the AIs. It'll be the AIs.
Man, I have not considered that, but you're probably right. Shoot.
If you keep track, look up some of the recent research in AI funding, and you'll be scared out of your pants. Because it is moving, and it's moving fast, and they're getting good.
Wow.
It's funny you should mention, because, I mean, if the shirt doesn't make it obvious, I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4 lately, and the whole thing where the humans hate the synths, the sort of human-looking robots, like replicants from Blade Runner, that is a huge part of the plot. And so you might have a point there. I mean, it might be sort of prescient, a sort of look to the future of what's coming. I don't know.
Well, Deep Blue recently has made extreme advances in playing Go, and a long time ago they used to tell me that computers would never be able to play Go. They could play chess because the rules are so precise, but Go was very, very hard. And now we have computers, Deep Blue, that can beat grandmasters in Go. And the computer, they're programming in creativity, and they're being creative. They can compose text that is indistinguishable from what a human might write within a specific area or something like that.
There's actually a program out there, a website out there that can compose music that sounds very real. It's called Juke Deck. They've taken it down right now because they're working on something new. But I mean, it's almost indistinguishable from human-made music. It's crazy, and I love it.
Yeah. And then there was the two AIs that they allowed to talk to each other, and then they started talking in their own made-up language, and the people freaked out and disconnected them.
Yeah. I seen that too. Man, there's so many weird AI stories, like all the AI Twitter bots and stuff like that. Like, it's very strange. It's a Black Mirror is happening. We just had to figure out which episode it is, right?
Yeah. Fuck those dogs. Those dogs in Black Mirror. Oh my God. No, not the dogs.
I know. Well,
anyway,
thanks for calling, Brenda. This was
Bionic. I love you. I love your work. Keep it up. I hope this project does well. You're doing great.
By the way, would I know you by a certain username? Like if I saw you responding to a comment, how can I know it's you?
Oh, it's Brenda.
Oh, okay. Brenda. Fair enough.
That's
Oh,
fine.
look,
I
I
love
like
that.
being able to connect with people because when I was at Faithless Forum, or if every now and then it does happen, I get recognized on the street, I always ask someone's username just so I can make that connection. Because it's weird. When I went to Faithless Forum, there were a couple of people who were just sort of staring at me like, it's Bionic Dance. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, dude, I'm just folks, So being able to have that connection with people, to know who you are in meat space as well as in cyberspace is important, I think.
Here's how to tell who I am. I'm the really smart, witty version of ContraPoints without the fashion sense.
That's great. I like that description. Brenda, thanks again for